Hey YouTube, no, it's been a little while. A couple experiences I want to share. Happened to me personally. I was at the auto parts store and I saw a PT Cruiser beside me and it had some damage to it, but it was a cute car. And so I said to the passenger as she was getting into her car and I was getting into my car, I said, "Cute car." She's like, "I wasn't talking to you." That's odd, but okay. And then as they got ready to drive off, she said, "Well, it's better than walking." And I'm realizing, 'cause I've now noticed this, and I've heard other people talk about it, because I talk to people on my bus about spiritual things sometimes, and we're finding that words are being changed in midair. We will say something, and they will hear something entirely different. Or maybe in their mind they're hearing something different, but somehow it's causing confusion, it's causing hurt. When someone says something nice, they are actually hearing something that is rude or mean. Um, Something demonic. This happened once when I was in deliverance. The point person that we work in teams was said the word grandmother, because that's where this curse came, and she heard mother, and I saw her pronounce grandmother, and yet I heard mother. So I was watching her lips, and so things can change in the air. So this is a time that we really need to be clear as to what we're saying, and maybe repeat ourselves, just to make sure. And I think you'll be surprised how many times the other person hears something different, just to cause pain and just overall um, confusion, conflict, etc. So I recommend that you keep that in mind, that we may not always be hearing what they are saying and vice versa. Secondly, I was with my dog the other night. She was out running around. We take her out after I get off work at 1, 2 in the morning near a creek here in the city. And I couldn't find her for 10, 15 minutes, which is not totally unusual. But I called for her because there can be a coyote out there on occasion and raccoons, and she's not that big of a dog. And so she wasn't coming, and then I saw what I assumed was my dog, looked just like her, except the detail was a little blurry. But it was a moonlit night, but come by me and head towards the house, which is about a mile away. And I thought, she's not on the trail. She's not listening to me. I'm cupping my hands like this, trying to calling her name so that she will come back to me. And she doesn't, which is very odd. So I start walking that direction. And as I start walking for a bit, she comes up behind me. I hear this panting sound. And it's just her. It's just behind me. So what I saw was some kind of apparition to take me away from my dog. And I know that sounds crazy, but let me just say the veil is thin, and things are happening that we have to be especially careful of, and don't second guess yourself too quickly to think that that wasn't real. Third thing, and I was a little bit long, that you need to be aware of is that things are disappearing and reappearing. When I introduce my friends to this, it happens to them. For example, I had a key to my car that I put in a very safe place. This was the last key I had. And I went to find it. It was in a location that when I knew about it, the animals couldn't touch it. It was way up high. It was the only one they could reach it because I'm the tallest in our household. It was gone. Come to find out, I found it back where I used to always keep those keys before, or that key in particular. And I thought, that's not where I left it, and I've not moved it. And so I have a friend who watched the stylus on his phone fall off out of his hands on his motorcycle onto the highway. And you can't stop on a motorcycle on the highway. I mean, you're going to get run over. So he goes to the store to get a new stylus. They say you have to buy the new phone to get the stylus. You may want to check to go on the internet. Well, in the meantime, he switched phones. One that had a cracked screen that had a stylus. He likes a stylus. So he goes back home, pulls out his old phone, makes sure he gets the right model number to order it, and here the stylus is right with the phone, right on the little holder. He said, "I know, just yesterday that fell off my motorcycle." So things are appearing, disappearing, different place. Another guy on my bus, he said he was at work and he couldn't find his keys, and he always puts them in his pants pockets. He looked all day, took his pants off, make sure there were nowhere as he was changing at his locker. Uh, anyway, he goes home, checks again, had to call his daughter to get into his house because his car key was on that ring. And so he checks them again, throws them in the wash, throws them in the dryer. As he's sitting in his living room, he's hearing this ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. Sure enough, you can imagine what he found in his pocket in the dryer. Weird stuff. One last thing. This is just weird things I'm throwing at you that you can maybe identify with them. I had a crown on one of my teeth, and had to. Something was in my food that wasn't supposed to be. My crown fell off. My doctor took an X-ray. My real tooth underneath was cracked, so I'd have to have the tooth extracted, or have a root canal, which I have not have done before. I was reading some bad things about root canal. Anyway, she referred me to 2 different doctors for whichever decision I decided to go. And she showed me on the X-ray, look at these 2 very large roots. Your roots are healthy. You could do a root canal very easily. It would hold up. It would last a long time. I was stressing about it, just the process, etc. I decided, I think I'll just do an extraction. But I put it off, and I felt embarrassed when I went back after 4 months for my regular visit that my tooth was still in there like it was before, because there's no pain. And she looked again at the old X-rays. We talked more about it, and great dentist, by the way. And she's like, "Well, I could pull that." And on the X-ray of the very picture she took earlier, the root was really short, and there was only one of them. And she said, "Well, I could pull that." And that was the same picture she showed me 3 months ago, where I had 2 very long roots that go up into the sinus cavity. That's why she didn't want to touch them. And now she's like, "Well, I could do that." I haven't done it yet, but I'm just saying things are changing. The veil is thin, and sometimes this works to your advantage. Anyway, a lot of crazy stories. One more, sorry. Chemtrail plane, very low. Watching it, praying against it, and it was quite low. They spray at night sometimes now. And that may not believe in chemtrails, but this plane was going, and I believe some of these are demonic, and I'll tell you why. I was fasting, I was praying, I was so mad at this thing that after about 5 minutes of praying, in tongues, with words, with praise, that thing literally broke up into pieces and disappeared in front of my eyes, and the trail disappeared at the exact same time. So be aware that some of this could be demonic. And it just imploded, and it was gone, and I just stood there. And I don't videotape all the chemtrail stuff. I'd have too much, wouldn't enough room on my phone. But a lot of crazy stuff there for you. Consider the spiritual realm and how real it is, and the times we're living in. God bless you all.